Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Matt Baxendell in just a moment. Bax is one of the many people who is not a fan of basically every big Ohio State game, especially home games being noon kickoffs. I think Bax is speaking for most of Buckeye Nation, if not all of Buckeye Nation, when he says that. We have a vibrant thread on the front row message board. Bax is basically saying, Ohio State is the Big Ten's, biggest fish. Ohio State should just say, we're playing the Texas game at 8 o'clock regardless. And what's Fox going to do about it? I'll probably sue Ohio State, but we're debating that on Bucknuts as we speak, and we'll get back to his thoughts on that. Also, is it hammer time? Is it hammer time for Michigan? We're less than, about 3.5 weeks away from the Committee on Infractions hearing. It's going to be a 2-day hearing, and a lot of people who were saying nothing's going to happen, downplaying it for the last 2 years, have now completely changed their tune. A lot of different people. So I think you know who some of the people I'm talking about, namely Joel Klatt, who he was going on his soapbox every time he possibly could to say nothing was going to happen. And all of a sudden he's saying, oh, boy, something's going to happen. So people are hearing things. Actually, that's the wrong one. I want to do this one first. All right. Before we bring Bax in, I want to let you guys know about Huel. I've been telling you guys about Huel. It's a great company, great product. The Huel Black Edition ready to drink is a meal in a bottle. Yeah, it's a meal that you drink. And one bottle contains 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, and it's low in sugar. Huel is a perfectly balanced meal. It's designed by nutrition experts, and it takes the guesswork out of healthy eating. It's a great product, and we have a great deal for you guys. New customers visit Huel.com, Huel.com/Bucknuts. Use my code Bucknuts to get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. Huel is amazingly convenient, no prep, no hassle, just grab and open. It also tastes good. This is the vanilla right here. I would not be endorsing it if it didn't taste good. I got that chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, banana. It's good stuff. New customers, visit Huel.com/Bucknuts today and use my code Bucknuts to get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. All right, let's bring in Bax. Bax, you're not a fan of the Noon Kickoffs. I mean, Texas, you're just, and I think most Buckeye fans agree with you, if not all. Explain your case, sir.
Well, Dave, let's go back 20 years. I want to go back 20 years to the Horseshoe in 2005. And I'm speaking of a time of when I was a sophomore, junior at Ohio State. And a little old school named Texas came to the Horseshoe to play the Buckeyes. And I vividly to this day think that might be the loudest the Horseshoe has been this millennium. It was one of the greatest atmospheres, one of the most talked about games I've ever been a part of. That day at the Horseshoe is exactly what college football should be. It was not a noon kickoff. It was a night game. It was a rare night game. It was a game that at the time I didn't think the Horseshoe had more than 4 or 5 night games ever, Dave. And whenever I saw Texas reappear on the schedule, the first thing that came into my head was that 2005 Texas game. And by the way, the next year, I went to Texas to see Ohio State #1 versus #2 play at night. And the Buckeyes returned the favor to Texas, winning on the road. I remember Ted Ginn catching a touchdown pass right in front of me, turning around and screaming in the face of the defender. Like, it was another unbelievable atmosphere. Both games were at night. So knowing what's going on with the Big Noon, look, I understand that that's their window that they've put a stamp on. It's become a really big deal. We understand that. Everybody does. But the reality is the Big Noon Kickoff might as well be called the Big Ohio State Noon Kickoff because it's been OSU almost in perpetuity. They've had by far the most slots at Big Noon. And guess what? If this one game, this one gigantic, enormous, ridiculous, extremely big game is played at night, it's not going to prevent the Big Noon Kickoff from having Ohio State on it 5 more times this year. We already know that the Michigan game's always going to be at noon. Ohio State never complains about that. Ohio State's going to end up playing some of its other games that maybe it would want at 3:30 or at night at noon as well. We get that. So why this one game in August, where there's no, like, it's not in the fall where Fox is like, we have the World Series to broadcast at night. We have, other important things we have to broadcast at night. Why this one game has to be played on what might be a 90-degree day at noon in the Horseshoe instead of under the lights like it should be. And by the way, next year, the game's not on Fox at Texas. It will be a night game. So if they're going to get the big night advantage in 2 years, we need it at home this year. And the bottom line to me is that if Fox can't compromise with Ohio State on what will be the highest rated game of the day, no matter what time it's played at, then it means that Fox is going to, in perpetuity, ban Ohio State to nothing but big noon kickoffs at every opportunity for the rest of this TV contract. And Dave, when they signed this contract, Fox was listed as the primary broadcaster. Nowhere in that contract did it say Fox is going to eternally damn you to noon kickoffs. That's just the simple reality. And we've heard all this offseason talk about how, Ohio State's going to work with the TV partners and get some more different varied opportunities. The reality is if they're not going to give in on this game at the first week of the year in August, the reality is they're never going to. So this is where Ohio State needs to kind of push back and say, what's the repercussion if we lose power and can't start until 8? What's the repercussion if we're like, hey, we're just playing it at 8? That's when you can broadcast it. Like, what's the repercussion? Because nowhere in that contract that we ever saw when it came out publicly did it say that Fox had the right to ban Ohio State to noon games for the rest of 7 years. Ridiculous.
Emily says maybe noon will be better for saying more chill atmosphere. LOL. Night maybe too big for a brand new starter. Well, both kids are going to be brand new starters, although Arch obviously has more experience than Julian. But are we assuming Julian's going to that Julian's going to be the starter? Yeah, I'm assuming that. And let me ask you if you agree with this. Buck Rational, our guy Buck Rational, he says can't do much now about the noon kicks, but gotta flex Ohio State's muscle. Gotta flex our muscle in the next TV contract. Do you agree with that? Obviously, I'm sure you agree. You got to flex the muscle in the next TV contract. But can Ross Bjork / President Carter, can Ohio State do anything about this, or are they pretty much stuck?
Well, since none of us have the actual terms of the contract, and that very active thread that I started yesterday on the front row has lots of people going, they'll sue you. They'll sue you. Well, okay, that's great. But let's be real honest here. The reality is that Ohio State is the biggest partner for Fox. The Big Ten runs through Ohio State. Everybody who is an Ohio State fan watching, it's the truth and you all know it, right? So before we get all Texas-y here and decide that we want a much bigger share of revenue because, frankly, Ohio State deserves it, how about you just give a little bit of an opportunity to have a little flexibility in Ohio State's scheduling window? And the other thing, Dave, it's super important here, is we heard all year how hard it was for out-of-state recruits to get to the Horseshoe for noon games. Then when you play nothing but noon games, when recruits want to come see a game, it limits the opportunity for people to come and see it. So you're telling me in August, we can't have one night game for the biggest game of the year. And by the way, for people who are acting like this isn't a big deal, go back and watch the Tennessee game. The Tennessee game, by the way, was an absolute cannon shot across the bow by ESPN. ESPN could have put Ohio State during the day in that window selection for the playoffs, and they didn't. They put it at night. And OSU had drone shows. OSU's crowd was frothing at the mouth. And the reality is, it's a big home field difference. It is. It is a gigantic home field difference. And my outrage here isn't based on seeing Brutus in the sky made of drones or the aesthetics of the sun setting and getting fireworks. My outrage is it's probably worth 3 to 6 points for Ohio State to play at night with a new starter and Arch Manning against us, and the crowd turned up to 11. Because let's face it, our crowd isn't the crowd that it was 25 years ago at noon. It isn't. But at night, it's still pretty close. And that's at a competitive advantage that Ohio State's going to be going in the face of at Texas in a year when it's not on Fox. So, yeah, I want the competitive advantage for the Big Ten. And Fox should be smart enough to recognize that that only helps their property if Ohio State wins this football game.
Yeah, and I think there was one I wanted to get to you, comment I wanted to get to. Spider Sillery, I agree with this. Like, personally for me, like as somebody who covers the team and then I have to do a podcast like right after the game, I personally like noon kickoffs. But I agree with you guys that like for recruits, for the atmosphere of the game, taking myself out of it, it's ridiculous that every big game is at noon. I know that's Fox's thing. I know Ohio State's the cash cow, so they're kind of taking one for the whole conference. But, like Buck Rational said, like we're all saying, they got to flex their muscle with the next contract. Ohio State cannot be treated like they're any other team in this 18-team conference. Ohio State is the marquee team in this conference. So
why do we have to wait to the next conference contract? All these contracts get renegotiated and tweaked all the time, Dave. Like that's a simple reality. And all you have to have in there is a limiting factor and just say, hey, no school can be on Big Noon more than 4 times in a season or something. Or every school can have one opt-out of a Big Noon window, right? Like just do that. Like, so that way when, we play Penn State in a year or two at home, that can be a night game because that should be a night game, right? Hey, when Michigan, guess what? Ohio State and Michigan agree. It's always a noon game. We're not arguing that one. That's your Big Noon flagship game every year. So there's zero reason that Fox can't still broadcast this game, but do it at night, right?
NBC has the rights, though, don't they?
No, Fox has the first choice of games and can broadcast them at any time that they want.
Oh, I apologize then. I thought NBC. I thought part of the contract was NBC is the. They have the right now. Fox can pick. They have their first pick. They get the first 3 picks, I think.
Fox. I'm reading the news from the contract here, just so I have it ready available to me. Fox owes the primary right holder owns 61% of the Big Ten network, and it receives the top 3 selections in the annual broadcast draft. Now, last year they made a trade with NBC for the Oregon game, so that NBC could broadcast the Oregon game at night. And that was because Oregon said, we don't want to play this game at noon on the West Coast. It's ridiculous. It's a 9 a.m. start. And everybody went, that's a fair point. It doesn't work. So they made a trade. They gave Oregon, with their Nike backing, a favor. Well, guess what? Now it's Ohio State's turn for their one favor. That simple. And guess what? It's one game in August. It's not a big deal. You're going to have Ohio State at noon on Big Noon for the OSU-Michigan game and probably another 5 games this year. One game. And you can still broadcast it. Fox can broadcast it whenever they want. They can simply say, yeah, it's Big Noon at night. Call it something dumb like that, right? It's like we were the Big Ten with 12 teams for years.
It's Big Noon somewhere is what they should call it. Seriously.
Yeah. They should make the Hawaii version.
They should make the text. I mean, it really should be. I understand everything that they're doing and the ratings are good and everything, but the ratings would be better. Yeah, the ratings are good at noon because it's Ohio State. You're telling me the ratings wouldn't be as good or better if those same games were at night? Of course they would be. Of course they would be. All right, real quick. Bax's favorite. This is cornbread hemp. THC seltzer. Look at this. Raspberry limeade, little cornbread hemp. They have the only USDA approved THC gummies. Now they're out with THC seltzers. I mean, they're blowing up. Good USA company, USA, from our neighbors down in Kentucky. It's time to experience your healthy happy hour. Cornbread hemp provides a natural and healthier way to experience a carefree moment. Cornbread's THC gummies offer a balanced sense of happiness and relaxation. Same deal for the THC seltzers. These are America's only USDA-approved organic THC gummies and THC seltzers. Real THC, no synthetics, 100% legal hemp, fast and free shipping. If you're looking for a healthier way to enjoy a carefree moment, you have to give cornbread hemp a try. And we have a good deal for you guys. All right, as a special offer for Bucknuts Morning 5 listeners, you can get 30% off your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/bucknuts. Use promo code Bucknuts at checkout. Again, that's cornbreadhemp.com/bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts for 30% off your first order. Cheers to a healthier happy hour. Boom. All right. Bring those to the tailgate at 6 a.m. for the Texas game.
I think that's a good addition whenever we have one of those games where it seems like or on Big Noon against an opponent the Buckeyes aren't excited to play and you get stressed. A little THC water will calm you down. They're really good for Buckeye games and kids sports.
Kids sports. There you go. Okay. I can't believe we know. Well, it's not. I can't read that because it's not. I'm not supposed to say a certain word that's in there when I do my ad reads for cornbread hemp. There's certain things you're not supposed to say. Anyway, I hear what you're saying though, Emily. I hear what you're saying. It is strange. All right. Hammer time. Stop hammer time. I find it hilarious. I've always thought, like, when I say hammer for Michigan, I still don't think they're going to lose their title. But it's hilarious to me. All the people for the last year and a half have been talking about, oh, nothing's going to happen. It's going to be a slap on the wrist. They have completely changed their tune. Watching Joel Klatt is hilarious. And he never once says, oh, I was wrong. One thing if you're like, listen, I own it. I was wrong. I have to do that all the time, say I was wrong, because it's one of the things I do best is be wrong. But seriously, it's not like he's coming out and saying, hey, I was wrong. He's glossing over that, just ignoring the fact that he's spent the last year and a half, and he's not the only one. But I do find it funny that all these guys who were saying this are now completely changed their tune, like, something big is coming to Michigan. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, I don't know what does. Santa Ono jumping off the ship when he did after signing a 7-year contract. I mean, you add it all up. All of a sudden, Michigan out of the blue doing this ridiculous 2-game self-imposed, suspension for Sharon Moore for games 3 and 4. It's like, what? All of this together, you add it all up, something's coming. Something's coming. I think it's going to be hammer adjacent at the very least.
Yeah, this is your classic rats jumping off the ship. And for all those people who denied what all of us saw, remember, as George Orwell once said, the final and most essential command of the party was to ignore the evidence of your eyes and ears. And that is what Michigan and everybody around them have done for 2 years. Ignore the fact that we're only good the 3 years we had a giant cheating system. Ignore the fact that we were mediocre otherwise. It immediately went back to being mediocre otherwise. It had no impact, we swear, even though everybody with a brain knows it had an impact. And the reality is, everybody's gone except Sharon Moore that was involved in this at this point. I mean, personally, I think that the hammer, Dave, is 100% coming. That this isn't going to be hammer adjacent. Like, whenever you have the president of the university, Mr. Bet, let's do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. Now, Santa Ono's also bolting because he doesn't want to be the president during the time they have to pay out all the computer crimes, which is another Michigan scandal, to all those students. It's a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit Michigan's going to ultimately end up paying out to all those kids that Matt Weiss hacked into their phones for their personal stuff, right? I think that's Santa Ono's reason he's leaving, because he doesn't want it on his resume that he was the president who had to oversee that scandal play out. I think he's like, I'm getting out of here before that's a thing. Florida, I'm coming, right? But Sharon Moore accepting a 2-game suspension of his choice, that's a joke, right? Like, in what world do you get suspended at something for your work and get to choose when you're suspended? I'm suspended in February. I'm going to take off the week of 4th of July then as my suspension. No, that's not how it works. Like, what are we doing here? So at the end of the day, too, the other thing that's been interesting is that there's been slow comments coming out from a lot of the people close to the Michigan program who were all bet this and bet that, bet this, and we're all tough in that. At the end of the day, all those people now are like, there might be a little pain. Well, we're going to have to accept the realities. Well, you're about to have to vacate all those games. That's what's going to end up happening. They're going to vacate all those games. And they're doing everything they can to cling to that banner on the wall, because that was their bargain they made at the time. They knew damn well that they were going to be screwing themselves into a long-term program problem, but they did not care because everything had been aligned for them to have the opportunity to get that ill-gotten title. And like, I forget, one of the big national media people, was it Klatt, that said we should have never let him keep playing that year? Somebody came out and said that, and it was one of the people that forever was like, this isn't a big deal here.
I think Klatt was misquoted on that. Somebody quoted Klatt and then said he said that, but he didn't go that far and say they shouldn't have been allowed to keep playing. He didn't say that. He did say something's happening, though.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, but the reality is, at the time, what did we say? It's the biggest scandal in North American sports since the Black Sox. And I still feel that way, because this isn't Pete Rose betting on other baseball games or even betting on his own team to win. This isn't, tattoos that had nothing to do with it. It's not even like Cam Newton, where his daddy got all that money to build the church. Well, Cam still showed up and played football, right? And it was a fair playing field. Cheating in college football used to be you paid players to get them there. They still had to win the football games fair and square. This is a direct assault on the integrity of the sport. And any moron who's ever watched this sport at a mediocre level knows that a low-level staffer in no way, shape, or form ever follows coordinators up and down the field screaming in their ear as they're sending in play calls. It doesn't work like that, ever. Unless the guy's entire job is, I know the play that's coming, fix your defense or change your play call on offense. And that's what Connor Stallions did, period. It is the biggest scandal to the integrity of a sport that I can remember. And by the way, it's worse than point shaving in basketball. You heard about those guys every 10 years. There's a guy who has a point shaving thing. Oh, he was throwing the game. He missed a free throw, right? It's one guy. The whole team knew. Everybody knew. There's sidelines jumping up and down like it's a concert, trying to get on the field's attention. It's 1,000%, top to bottom. Everyone knew what they were doing. Michigan is a bunch of cheaters, and they need to pay. And it sounds like they're going to.
It definitely sounds like they're going to. I mean, all these guys would not, even the Michigan insiders, the
water carriers for the program.
Oh, there you go. I was gonna say I was trying to be nice, but even they're saying, people that were telling me nothing was going to happen, they've gone quiet, and you can see it like their eyes, like they just saw a ghost or something. Even those people are. It's not just the national people who've changed their tune. It's even the people inside the house. The call is coming from inside the house. It's just fun. Get your popcorn out, man. It's going to be fun. I don't want to wish away May because it's one of my favorite months, but I'm really looking forward to those 2 days in June. Was it 6th and 7th? It's either 6th or 7th, somewhere around there. 7th and 8th, 8th and 9th, right around there. I think 6th and 7th. Yeah, dude. I mean, there's something is happening. All these guys would not be changing their tune, including the guys, the water carriers for Michigan, as you rightfully articulated. Especially those guys are changing their tune. Yeah, the hammer's coming.
Yeah. That's the reality, Dave. And, the other reality here is you talk about integrity, right? How many times have I mea culpa'd my thoughts on Ryan Day after losing to those guys this year, right? The other people up there, here's how liars work. They cop to the easiest lie so that they can back into saying that the bigger lie wasn't something that they were aware of, right? And Michigan has been copping to perpetually bigger lies the whole time. They knew nothing. There's nothing going on. Well, now it's only one guy. Only one guy knew what was going on. Oh, well, we had to fire a coach because he knew what was going on, but he was the only coach that knew what was going on. Oh, Jim Harbaugh and all the guys that are now gone are on a 5-year show cause because they won't cooperate, but it's definitely just them. Oh, Sharon Moore, he didn't know. Oh, he just deleted text messages because he just casually deletes text messages, even though nobody deletes text messages. And it perpetually is getting worse. Right? They're getting caught in a bigger lie every single time, right? And this is the chain of lying, and eventually it all gets laid bare. And that's where we are right now. So in a month, whenever the NCAA has its say, the only real question is going to be how bad does Michigan have to bend over and accept its medicine, right? Does it take its knees and beg for forgiveness? And then the other question is, are they going to be super litigious and decide they want to try to sue their way out of it because they don't think the NCAA has teeth? But we'll get to that whenever the ruling comes down. I think the NCAA might not have a ton left, but if the NCAA is telling them they have to vacate, I don't know how Michigan can honestly say that they don't have to because they're still part of all this. The big schools splitting off from the NCAA is still too far away for Michigan to escape any punishment on this one.
That's the thing for people that are saying that the NCAA no longer has teeth. They're talking about like for players getting paid. Like that's the stuff that they have no teeth on. Breaking the rules, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed as far as that's concerned, and it kind of gets lost in the wash. It's like nothing has changed. People talk about the court cases. That's all about NIL and players' rights and stuff like that. This has nothing to do with that. If Michigan tries to go to court, I think they're screwed because I think the NCAA has a mountain of evidence. And that's what they've told Michigan. We have this. And I'm sure they're not telling them everything they have. So.
Well, and the FBI's been digging, Dave, too. And how much stuff has the FBI handed to the NCAA? I mean, because that's how this was discovered. If you remember, there's another lie I forgot. Ryan Day's brother was hired by Ryan Day to investigate their computer system, right? Right? And he's the one who started finding evidence of this. No, when their pervy old offensive coordinator was hacking into kids' phones, the FBI got onto it, and Michigan hired a private investigator because of this computer crimes to try to help cover their ass in multi-billion-dollar payout lawsuit they're going to have coming. And that uncovered Connor Stallion's monster manifesto and his plan of what the program was doing for the sign stealing. That's how Michigan found out, was because they hired a third party on their own because of something else the football team did. Like, Michigan fans, the ones up there who are still talking about it being like cheeseburger gate or whatever. Oh, the coach had a cheeseburger. That's the biggest pile of crap ever. That's like saying, look at this little fish tank I have, and ignoring the ocean right next to it. Like, it's ridiculous. So at the end of the day, this is the dirtiest program currently in college football. There's no way around it. And for all these Michigan men and we are superior in how we act. No, you've lost all moral high ground forever. Like, congratulations. When people think of cheating in college football, it's Michigan now. It's not SMU anymore. It's Michigan.
It's going to be fascinating to see what ends up happening, and we're not too far away. As somebody in the chat said, it is June 6th and 7th, so thank you for that. June 6th and 7th, we await the decision. 2-day hearing. It's going to be very interesting. Bax, great stuff, man. I'll let you go on that one. Appreciate it, my friend.
All righty, Mr. Biddle. Happy to be on this morning. Let's hope the downfall of Michigan football happens in the next month, because I'm here for it. Get your popcorn ready.
Get your popcorn. Great stuff, Bax. Appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Go Bucks.
All right. I'm going to be with you guys just for a couple more minutes. I'm going to let you guys know about Mando, then I'll take a couple questions. Woo, Mando. There you go. The reason this company's blowing up, doing awesome. I was telling you, you can get them in stores now, as I'm about ready to tell you. And I used to just be able to get them like through their website, which is still the best way to get Mando. But I was in Meyer and we got some Mando in, and like a lot. There was a lot originally on the shelves, it looked like. And then by the time I got in there, there was hardly any Mando left because people were buying them up. All the other stuff, there was plenty. People were buying up the Mando. Why? Because Mando is America's #1 whole body deodorant for men, and I highly recommend it to you guys. If you've been using the same deodorant for years and years like I was, it's time to try something new and something better, and that's where Mando comes into play, and we got a good deal for you guys. Do you want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant right now? You can find the products, like I said, Meijer, Walmart, Target, other major retailers across the country. But for the best deal, still go to shopmando.com. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code Bucknuts at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. All right. Great stuff. This is the bourbon leather. I also really like the Pro Sport scent. It's great stuff. All right. To a couple comments here. Yeah, Bax was on fire. That was great stuff from Bax. I knew that was right in his wheelhouse. Right in his wheelhouse. Good. I'm glad the comments on X is working now. We see my guy Carlos Rodriguez. That's glorious. Those who cheat will be embarrassed. Earlier, it was saying that the comments on X were not appearing in the live chat for some reason. I'm glad that got fixed on the fly here. All right, there's one I wanted to get to that really has nothing to do with Ohio State, but I always invoke Ohio State when I talk about this topic. Jordan on YouTube, Dave, why do Ohio pro teams suck? At least we have the Buckeyes, is what I always say, right? Whether you're a Cleveland fan or a Cincinnati fan, and some are both. Like if you're old school, like Steve Hellwagon's a big Reds fan and a big Browns fan. And I know that's passed down from generations because there's a lot, the Bengals didn't exist till 1968. So you have a lot of fathers pass it on to their sons that they were a Browns fan because the Bengals didn't exist, and they were a Reds fan because if you were in Columbus back then, when the Reds were the big red machine, as my dad says, like Columbus was definitely a Reds town. The Indians weren't very good, and the Reds were like a national brand, and Columbus was a Reds town and a Browns town. But I would say at least we have the Buckeyes because I have no explanation for it. The Cavs, best record in the East this year, they bow out after 5 games. Bad luck. They were ravaged by injuries. And you can say, well, that's excuses. I'm not even a Cavs fan. I mean, I want them to do well. I don't hate the Cavs or anything. I grew up a Bulls fan, which was really, really, really good for a while and has been really, really, really bad since a certain player no longer plays for them. It's been a bad 25 years for the Chicago Bulls, other than maybe one or two Derrick Rose years. But yeah, I have no explanation for it. The Reds, I still feel like the Reds are going to at least be respectable this year, but they're awful right now. Bengals got to the Super Bowl a few years ago, but they continue just to do stupid things. I still believe in Joe Burrow big time, so maybe he's the one guy that can maybe keep them on the right track, although we'll see. Cavs, I don't know, man. That's a tough one to swallow there when you're the number one. And you know that Boston now is without Tatum, that if the Cavs would have played Boston, obviously they wouldn't even – they would play the Knicks now, but you know what I mean, though. I mean, everybody favored the Celtics. It was like, well, the Cavs can get by the Celtics. Maybe they can win it all. And then now Tatum's out. It's just it's so frustrating. The Browns are an embarrassment. They just – I don't know. The Reds just do stupid things. Like the Reds, here's an example of the Reds doing stupid things. When you're a small market team, you cannot afford to do stupid things like sign Mike Moustakas to a 4-year, $64 million contract. You just can't do it. You know, and they finally get out from under that. They finally get out from that terrible $64 million that they just bleeped down the drain to Mike Moustakas. They get out from under that. What do? You turn around and give Jeimer Candelario a 3-year, $45 million contract. Now they're just, you know, throwing $15 million a year down the drain. They still have him for another year after this one. You just can't do stupid things like that. And they do stupid stuff like that all the time. The Guardians are actually a very well-run organization. They spend a lot less than the Reds do. It's not like the Reds spend a lot. The Guardians would just spend what the Reds spend and do smart moves like they do. They have a really good front office. I was worried for the Guardians after Tito retired. Obviously, he came back. He's with my Reds. I was thinking, geez, he's a future Hall of Fame manager. What are they going to do? And then obviously your managers now is awesome. Manager of the year in his rookie year. That's not easy to do. So you guys have a good manager. You've got a great front office. Just need to spend a little bit more. I don't know what the deal is with that. You should at least be able to spend what the Reds spend, which isn't very much. But I don't know, man. It's so frustrating. Why do we have to talk about Ohio pro sports? But at least we have the Buckeyes. That's why we're still basking. You guys who are like Steeler fans, like Bax is one of these. You guys who are Steeler fans and Buckeye fans are cheating. I know the Steelers haven't won anything big in a while. I don't even care. You guys have won, what, 6 Super Bowls total? I mean, it's not fair. It's not. So you guys are cheating if you're a Buckeye fan and a Steeler fan. That's just not cool. No, I get it though. I mean, someone like Bax grew up near Pittsburgh, and then he grew up. I think he was in the Boston area for a while. So it's not like he grew up in Columbus and became a Steeler fan. He was a Steeler fan from a young age, then became a Buckeye when he came here for school. So anyway, hopefully Ohio pro sports teams can cease breaking our hearts, but don't hold your breath on that. But at least we have the Buckeyes still basking. All right, great stuff from Bax. Thanks to all of you. I really, really appreciate it, and hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Go Bucks, still basking.